Welcome back to part 2 of this series of how to make a OneRepublic style pop song like I Ain't Worried meets Sunshine. Kinda like this.
I'll be making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a merely, ain't nobody gonna stop me. 'Cause every night, every day, yeah, I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves. 'Cause every night, every day, I'll be making waves.
If you didn't catch part 1, click on the link down below to see all sorts of helpful tips and tricks around this song. But otherwise, let's jump into this video and I'll show you all the secrets of how to write, produce, and mix a OneRepublic style song. In this production, we start getting more into ear candy, fun, kind of harmonic, catchy, ear candy sort of sounds that really elevate the quality of your production. I think there's quite a few examples of good ear candy in this song. Let me explain some of what's going on, and hopefully you can find some tips and tricks from the ear candy that we did in Making Waves that you can bring into your own productions. But the first thing we have here, and this was, I think, all Kobe, it's sort of the sidechain pumped, phased out synth guitar thing. It's this green track right here. Let me show you what that sounds like in solo though. And I'm adding a few plugins. A lot of that sound was already baked in though, but I'm adding a Greg Wells piano plugin to it, OTT, this Aphex exciter, chorus, just weirding it out more. I'm leaning into the weirdness of that sound. Like I'm not trying to take that weird sound, make it sound clean, make it sound normal. I'm doubling down on the weird cool factor to it. So, and then from there, Pro Q just ever so slightly kind of taming the EQ, putting it into its place, but that right there, you don't necessarily hear that so much. Like if I mute it, and I'll play the track in a minute, I'll take that out. You don't really hear that it's gone, but when you add it in, it's a feel thing and just adds a little bit of subtle interest to the track, in my opinion, that really just, it kind of makes it more interesting, sounds a little less stock, a little more unique. So let me play the chorus for you without that in, and then I'll add it in a little bit of the way through. Love what that's doing. And kind of while we're on the subject of ear candy, one, again, I would kind of put this in the low hanging fruit category, sort of like our sweeps and impacts, but we just have a trombone hit happening on all the downbeats right here at the top of the chorus and top of the post chorus. Just sounds like this. Nothing revolutionary at all about it, but you take that trombone out, I think you miss a little something. Listen to the downbeat of that chorus without the trombone. I missed the trombone. Now listen to it with it. I mean, it's as basic as it gets, but you can't tell me that trombone's not doing a thing. It's totally doing a thing. And while we're on the subject of ear candy as well, love what this is. I'll do this quite a bit, whether it be with percussion, vocal samples, and there's more examples of vocal chops and samples we'll get into here shortly, but listen to this Hale track. It's a Hale sample from Splice that we actually manipulated and pitched around to the key of the song. But after all the processing that's baked into it, it really almost sounds like an instrument. Listen to this soloed up. And already rendered into the sound is delay and pitch shift and all that. But that, again, was just a big Hale sample that we pitched around to sit in the track like harmonic information, almost like a synth. I took it even further with Decapitator and Valhalla Vintage Verb. Without those, it sounds like this. Then with. So they're helping cut through just ever so slightly, but you see those pitched haze kind of happen all throughout the song. And, you take them out. It's kind of like the strummy wash track up here. You just miss out on some of the interest. So that's a great technique for ear candy. Take vocals, take sounds from Splice, pitch them around, add reverb, add distortion, add tape saturation, and just mangle sounds and see what you can do to just push a sound even further, make it not even sound recognizable to the original sound. A lot of times that's how cool, really unique sounds and ear candy for me happens. I just take a sound, I push it as far as I can, make it unrecognizable to the original sound, and by the end you have something that's like, how did you even create that? I've never heard anything like that. It's just turning knobs, messing with plugins until you have something that sounds cool. So that's all that was. And then kind of taking that further in the intro, we have that same hey. But what do you know? We lo-fied it out. We filtered it down and added just a little bit more drive to it. Again, sounds like this with none of that. But we took all that super bright high end off and added all that saturation to give us a sound like this. Again, if we wouldn't have done that in the intro, like listen to that intro with that sound, without any of that filtering, without any of the lo-fi, and hear how big and how much high end there's gonna be in a way we don't want. To me, that hey, without any of the processing, it's like, I'm the star of the show. And you just want it to be acting, in my opinion, in the intro, kind of as an interesting background texture. And that's what those plugins did. That's how it allowed it to sit. So now putting those on, listen to how it just sits in the back of the mix. You can still hear it, but it's not so forward in a good way. Love what that processing's doing. Love how that's interacting. And then to that also added this hey and a whoop. You know, and those hays and whoops, it's more ear candy. It's more interest. It's little things that it's the felt not heard things. If you muted them, you wouldn't necessarily notice you're gone, but you're gonna feel the addition of 10 moves like that added to your song. And again, in my opinion, it's gonna make a really big difference over the course of your production. And going back to our original pitched hay trick, I actually made even more candy out of it by taking it, adding 100% reverb, and then just using reverser in Pro Tools. I literally just go search reverser or reverse and literally just render that in to reverse the audio file, and then added even more reverb to the whole track. And that gives us this cool sweep and impact sort of sound, all just taking that original hey thing that we mangled once, mangled it even more, put it in different parts of the song, and then that gives us something that sounds totally like you don't even hear it as the same thing. It gives us this really cool, unique sound like this. Love what that's doing. Really, from an instrumentation standpoint, though, that's all. That's everything going on in the bulk of the song. You know, there's a few little edits we made to those instruments, kind of over here in verse two. We'll hit that at the end. Same over in the bridge, just to make your sections a little different from each other. But by and large, that's a breakdown of all the instrumentation of the song. You know, as you can see, there's really not a lot going on under the hood. I wouldn't say that this is a super high track count session. You know, there's a fair amount of tracks going on. But really, if you take a look at it, it's just drums, bass, simple guitars, and, you know, kind of simple ear candy functioning almost like a keyboard would in a live band arrangement. And you put all that together before you bring in vocals, and you have something that sounds really good, that I'm really happy with, like this. So that's all the main instrumentation. So from there, let's start breaking down some of the vocals. And as we take a look at vocals, there are kind of a few more ear candy tracks that we'll go over in a minute. And sort of all these blue tracks right here, kind of at the top, are what I would kind of call somewhere between ear candy and then vocals. It's really kind of ear candy we made out of Kobe's voice, and then all this pink stuff, and then this blue stuff down here is all the main vocal stuff. We'll start breaking that down for you and making sense of what it is. But in doing a song like this, both our reference tracks, I believe, have whistles. We felt like we couldn't do a song like this in this style and not have a whistle. So we have the original whistle, and Kobe actually did this whistle all himself. I think there's some plugins going on, but I think there's some plugins he had going on, but Kobe has a great whistle. So there's a whistle and then a whistle reverb he sent me, and those sound like this. And those are happening in the intro. They're also happening in the holes around the vocal melodies. So when the chorus happens, listen to how the vocal melody hits, and then in the space, the whistle happens. So the whistle is really acting like an important counter melody. Listen to how that functions.
Known, I'll be making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing.
It's a really important part. You take that out, the song obviously works. We were looking at the instrumental without the whistle, but love what that whistle's doing. And again, kind of pays tribute to the OneRepublic vibe we were going for. And then we have the whistle over here in the post chorus too, which functions like this over there.
I'll be making waves. 'Cause every night.
And you notice, kind of from an arrangement standpoint, the melody right here in the whistle is the same as this melody. But we kind of took that same melody and gave it kind of a different treatment over here, in that in the chorus, the whistle is a kind of a response to the "I'll be making waves" call, whistle response. Doing my own thing, call from the vocal, whistle response. But then from a writing standpoint, we actually take that same melody and make the lead vocal, as well as all the stacks of backgrounds, get on that melody, the ba 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 da ba da, that the listeners already heard, but they haven't heard it in that place. So it's the same melody from a note standpoint, but it all kind of comes together in the post chorus in a way that I think is really satisfying from a payoff point of view. So listen to the call and response of the whistle and how it sits timing wise and functionally in the chorus versus how it sits when everything, including the lead vocal melody, lines up with it over here in the post chorus.
And doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a merely, ain't nobody gonna stop me. 'Cause every night, every day, yeah, I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves. 'Cause every night, every day, I'll be making waves.
All right, so obviously some cool ear candy you heard there. We'll break that down in a minute, but let's first take a look at the lead vocal tracks. So all of these pink tracks for me are lead vocals. And as far as what's under the hood, I'll show you in just a minute. But basically, you notice it's not just one lead vocal track, and I'll explain why. I very rarely will put all my verse and all my chorus lead vocals on one track. And I feel like there's two main reasons why I do that. And sometimes it can be one or the other, but a lot of times it's both. Number one, I feel like if I put all of my chorus vocals and all my verse vocals on one track, they typically, from an EQ standpoint and just overall treatment standpoint, I find need to be treated slightly different from each other. So if you think about it, in most cases, a singer is singing lower in their register in a verse and higher in their register, in most cases, in the chorus. So because of that, I find that EQ moves need to be slightly different. There's typically lower, kind of woofier frequencies you need to tame in the verse, that if all those are cut out of your EQ moves in the chorus, your vocal might sound really thin and harsh. So instead of doing a bunch of automating, I find that it's easier for me to just split those out. The other reason why I'll split out verses from choruses is delay and reverb sends. One thing I'll do is I'll ever so slightly treat, verse reverbs and delays different from chorus reverbs and delays. It's just treating those delay sends and reverb sends slightly different from each other is just one other way that I can create interest in my arrangement, make my verses feel slightly different from my choruses. You've heard me talk about that kind of throughout this video and in other videos I've made. And again, I feel like in music production, in modern pop music, you're always trying to make that chorus hit. You're always trying to make that chorus lift, and you're kind of trying to use every tool that you possibly can in your toolbox as a producer, as a songwriter to make that chorus lift, hit hard, and feel as good as it possibly can. And with that, to me, treating your verse vocal effects slightly different from your chorus vocal effects are just another tool in your toolbox as a producer to help you do that. You know, you maybe in general you can make your verse vocals a little drier, add a little bit more reverb delay to your chorus vocals. That might not always be the move. That's kind of a good starting point. So those are really the two main reasons why I would have my lead vocal split over so many tracks and not just all on one track. Let me first solo up Kobe's mixed lead vocal for you, then we'll break down under the hood what's going on from a mix standpoint. So his vocal in the verse mixed sounds like this.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling like I'm in an oasis out here on my own. I'ma make it known, I'll be making waves.
Cool. So now let me take all the plugins off and break down for you what I'm doing from a mix standpoint on these. So I'll first disclaim to you that this isn't my normal full vocal chain because Kobe cut these vocals at his place and he sent me his fully processed vocals with plugins. So that in solo with Kobe's processed vocal sounds like this.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling like.
You know, that sounds like a really good vocal. I just wanted to give it a little bit more height factor, excitement, saturation, just good subtle moves to help it cut through the speakers and sit in the mix a little better. So I don't know what plugins he had on his vocal up till now, but you can hear that's not a totally dry vocal. But what I did is, I'll just break it down, and all of these plugins are doing really subtle moves, and you know you can hear what each one's doing. But I'm sending all the vocals to this lead vocal aux right here that have, you know, subtle EQ moves. Just, you know, the biggest move here is like 1.29 dB into the Meta plugin running Acoustica Ruby. Again, this is just doing a color and saturation thing for me more than it's doing an EQ thing. Into Acoustica El Rey. It's a compressor, but like the Ruby, it's a color box as much as anything as it is for me as it is compressing. So it's not really compressing much. It's just adding a color and a glue to the vocals that I really like. Into OTT, just to, you know, only at 8% here and 17 and 16% down there, just to push the vocals through the speakers ever so slightly more. Into Pro L2, adding 4 dB of really clean gain. Again, just helping push those vocals through the speakers, how I like it. Into Neutron Exciter, saturating 2K to 10K right here. That's the range in a vocal that in most cases you want to speak. Like you need super sizzly high end and you need body in a vocal, but that's not necessarily in most cases the part of the vocal that you really want to come forward. You really want that 2K to 10K, your upper mid range to poke through the speakers. And I find that in split band saturation using Neutron Exciter, tape saturation in that range is a really musical and natural way to my ears to get that range of frequencies to cut forward in your lead vocals. So I have that on my vocal aux, and then all of that right there is being finished off with JST Clip. Told you JST, love this plugin, great plugin. There's stuff happening on the channel. I'll break that down for you in a moment, but let me start with nothing going on the lead vocal aux, and then I'll slowly start to add stuff into the lead vocal aux so you can hear what each plugin that I just showed you is doing.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling like.
So you hear just sort of one plugin at a time. We're adding gain, we're adding color. It's doing good things. So what I really like about that lead vocal aux is it's giving us excitement, it's giving us color, it's giving us all the good things I want. It's bringing the vocal forward, but there's a little bit of harshness that I feel like that was probably in Kobe's chain of plugins that is now with the hyped up vocal is coming through the speakers. So on a track level, I wanted to tame some of that a little bit. So first have a little bit of auto tune. We all know what auto tune's doing, just, catching the peaks and valleys of just intonation. But from there, I added this T-Rax multiband limiter, which is doing this to the vocal.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current.
You see, it's doing limiting, it's doing compression, but in my mind, to my ears, it's doing it in a really musical way that's not super harsh, not super bright. So again, I like the color of what that's adding as much as anything. Follow that up by soothe, love soothe, just to tame some of that top end. And then this de-esser right here is kind of doing the same thing as soothe. They're sort of doing a 1-2 punch off of each other in my mind. This is the waves de-esser. There's a few different de-essers I use for different purposes. To me, the waves de-esser isn't personally my go-to for true sibilance control, but to me, it kind of does a de-harsher sort of thing. So it's sort of acting in tandem with soothe, the kind of de-harsh, the upper mid-range, the top end of the vocal. So the soothe and de-ess are added together after the multiband limiter sounds like this.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling.
And again, going back to no plugins at all, I'll leave the auto tune on, but going back to no plugins at all, I'll start going one plugin at a time on Kobe's verse vocal, which again was already mixed, already had some stuff going, and you can hear, and I'll do this in context of the track too, so you can hear on a track level how it's functioning, because that's really what matters at the end. Who cares what your vocal sounds like in solo? It needs to sound good and speak in the context of a track. So here's that one plugin at a time on the verse.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling
And from there, I just sent to a little slapback delay, a little bit of a short delay, and a little bit of the short reverb. It's the slate reverb on a Bricasti setting. In another video, we'll go over all of my reverb and delay sends in detail. If enough of you comment down below and say, hey, show me your reverb and delay settings, happy to do that. But again, that's a whole video or 2 or 3 in and of itself on that. So comment down below if you want to see my reverbs and delays, starting points for vocals. It's all these black tracks down here. But again, sending to a short reverb, short delay, and a slapback, which in context sounds like this.
lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling
So from there, we kind of start taking a look at background vocal production, and that really just taking a look at it visually happens primarily in the chorus. Not a lot of background vocals at all in the verses, but a big part of the vocal sound in this song is gangs and background vocals. Let me play you this chorus without any gang vocals or any background vocals, just Kobe's lead vocal.
known how we making waves and doing my own thing.
It sounds good, but let's just do a quick comparison to this with all the gangs and backgrounds in, then I'll show you under the hood.
Known how we making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a million, ain't nobody gonna stop me. 'Cause every night, every day, yeah, I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves.
So as you can hear, the gangs and background vocals are a massive part of the sound of this song. So let's take a look under the hood of what's going on there. The first thing we have is just a left-right double right here going with the chorus vocals. So that sounds like this all together.
I'll be making waves and doing my own thing.
Just giving it a little bit of width, a little bit of widening. And then from there, I sang in just waves and thing. I know, deep, elaborate, kind of on a harmony that sounds like this in context.
I'll be making waves and doing my own thing.
That was me doing several takes, and then I just summed it down to that 2 mix right there for cleanliness and organization. After that, Kobe sent this vocal reverb over, kind of left it hanging out, and then he did a bunch of tracks of gang vocals with reverb, that is really giving it a big part of the sound. Sounds like this.
I'll be making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a Merrily, ain't nobody gonna stop me. Cause every night, every day, yeah, I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves.
And we already heard what a difference that makes in the context of the track, but that's kind of a look at what's going on under the hood from a vocal arrangement standpoint. Again, he has harmonies and parts already consolidated down into the gang vocal 2 mix, but it's just a bunch of stacks of him singing the melody, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, all stacked up, consolidated down, and processed a little bit. And from a processing standpoint, I'm doing a little bit of stereo imaging on the gang vocals, the consolidated gang vocals, just for widening and width. Just kind of want those to sit on the edge of the mix, kind of widen the speakers. So doing that right there. And then a little bit of, upper mid range smoothness around 4 or 5K using Soothe. Love Soothe. Great plugin. And, doing a similar kind of moves right over here. Just subtle EQ moves. You guys know, you know how to EQ. Nothing crazy, just using your ears to adjust things as you see fit. Oh, that needs a little more high end, add some more high end. Oh, that frequency's kind of harsh, notch it out with Soothe, with EQ, with saturation. That's really all there is to it. And really from there, we're about there. That's pretty much under the hood, but we did do a couple things with Kobe's lead vocal to kind of add even a little bit more ear candy. And let me show you some of the places we did that and how we did it. The first thing, and we heard this when we were going over the verse lead vocal, but we did a low, form it down little altar boy vocal, which sounds like this. So literally all I did to make that was I consolidated down this vocal with all the plugins, split it off to a separate track, added little altar boy for that pitch and formant shift, and a little bit of spring reverb on a low mix because spring reverb is the vibe of the song, remember? A little bit of spring reverb to give us that low formant shifted sound that we like. Did the same exact thing over here in the pre-chorus. Again, the octave down just gave a little bit of interest, little subtle move that I liked what it was doing. Here's what it sounds like over in the pre, same kind of thing.
I'm in an oasis out here on my own. I'ma make it known.
So same thing going over there in the pre-chorus. From there, we start getting into reverb and delay throws with Kobe's voice, as well as just some general reverb ear candy. We have this reverse into the verse of the song, which sounds like this, which was just, I think we took the word waves that Kobe sang, added a bunch of reverb to it, and then reversed it like we did a bit ago. And that gives us this kind of cool, unique sound into the verse. And you see, I actually added a tape stop at the end with verify. That's a fun technique. So without the tape stop, it sounds like this. But I just took verify. If you just go search up here in Pro Tools and just actually render that audio down. Super cool, super unique. It just subtle move. Love what that's doing. And over here, there's more of the big vocal reverbs that we made from Kobe's voice. Just took his vocal, made it 100% wet, committed it down, reversed it, did all that fun stuff like this. Love what those are doing. And then really the final thing we did from a vocal candy with Kobe's vocal standpoint is we did some delay throws. So we did those really 2 ways. And let me show you the 2 ways that I went about doing those. And this will kind of give you everything you need to do effective reverb and delay throws on lead vocals. So first example is the end of the chorus right here. You're going to hear, I'll be making waves. And right here, I'll be making waves. Listen to that in context.
Every night, every day, I'll be making waves.
So the way is those right there. But as far as this main delay throw right here, literally all I did was I consolidated down the lead vocal and then just moved it over exactly where I wanted it to be. So there's not technically even like a delay send happening on that track. I just manually moved the audio to where I wanted it and then affected the sound. And I'll show you the plugins of how I affected it here in a moment, but that's one way to do reverb and delay throws. Just consolidate down your audio and then move it exactly where you want it, and you're good to go. So let me take off the plugins though and show you kind of what it sounds like without processing.
I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves.
But I didn't want the delay to be so bright, so I added this Butch Vig vocals on this telephone setting, then FabFilter Pro Q3 right here, and then Avid Lo-Fi, and then Soothe. And all of those are just kind of taming that top end and tucking it in the back of the mix, more like this.
I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves.
Just giving it that kind of good, unique character. So that's one way I did delay throws. The other way I did delay throws, and reverb throws, same kind of thing. And these happen in the verse, is they start kind of from the same place of just consolidating down the vocal and then dragging the word up that you want to throw. But I'll show you on like the words feeling right here.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth.
So I already went ahead and consolidated those down, but literally here, I have the original track right here. So in this case, I didn't actually drag the vocal to where I wanted it to sit, if that makes sense. What I did instead is I sent it to a track with a delay at 100% wetness, and then set the delay, at the speed that I wanted, in this case, as a quarter note. And what that does, by setting it at 100% wet, it's going to feed back the delay and put the delay where you want it to be. It wouldn't work if you didn't make this knob 100% wet, but I went 100% wet, and that gives me the delay throw that I want in the place and in the timing that I like. So again, just to show the concept right here, I just have auto tune on right here, and you'll hear the original vocal is right in place with the original vocal.
I've been feeling,
but then when I add the 100% wet delay, we have something that sounds like this without any of the other plugins.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do.
And from there, like so many other things in the song, it was just a matter of EQ, a little bit of drive, a little bit of saturation for color, and then a little bit of reverb after the delay just to make it sit in its place a little bit better. And all that together sounds like this.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling like.
And really, that's everything we did from a vocal production standpoint. We did more reverb and delay throws in various parts of the song, as you can kind of just see with your eyes, but that's a look at under the hood of what we did and how we did it. So taking those vocals and taking the track, taking the instrumentation and putting it all together, let me push play on this song so you can hear what all of it sounds like together, now knowing under the hood of exactly how it was done. Let's take a final listen here.
Lately I've been feeling bulletproof, like I ain't got no ceiling for what I'm about to do. I'm making my own current, and that's the truth. Lately I've been feeling like I'm in an oasis out here on my own. I'ma make it known. I'll be making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a million, ain't nobody gonna stop me, 'cause every night, every day, yeah, I'll be making waves. I'll be making waves. 'Cause every night, every day, I'll be making waves. I've been riding solo, a running gun, living life on YOLO, do it for the fun, surfing on the haters, soaking in the sun, soaking in the sun. I'll be making waves and doing my own thing. I'll be surfing on a
All right, so that's a wrap here on part 2 in this series of how to make a modern pop song in the style of OneRepublic. Again, so fun to get to work on this with my good buddy Kobe James. Everyone, go check out Kobe's music on Spotify and Apple Music, and be sure to give him a follow on socials. If this video brought value to you, it would mean the world to me if you drop a comment down below telling me what you learned, subscribe to the channel, and ring in that notification bell for more content just like this. I have lots of super exciting content in the pipeline for you, and you're not gonna wanna miss it. And since you made it to the end of this video, I wanted to let you know about a brand new service I'm now offering and have available to you. If you're a music maker at any level needing a second set of ears and professional perspective on your song, production, or mix, I'm now offering this to you to help maximize the quality of your songs and productions. It's so easy to sign up to get feedback on your song. Just visit my website, christianhale.co/songfeedback, and fill out the form at the bottom of that page to get started. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.